former college athlete, I don't get intimidated, right? And nothing against the females that are in the space that are non athletes, but I think with someone like me that walks into the room, yeah, of course, it's a little like, oh, okay, now I gotta be on my P's and Q's. I gotta work 10 times hard. Like I'm aware of that, but it doesn't intimidate me and it does frustrate me a little bit because I know that this guy that's sitting next to me, he's never played a sport a day in his life, but he just got to where he is because he knows somebody.
Girl, you got it. Act like you know it. Girl, you've got it. And you might as well show it. Say, girl, you've got it. Act like you know it. Girl, you've got it. And you might as well show it. Girl, you've got it. Act like you know it. Girl, you've got it. And you might as well show it. Girl, you've got it. Act like you know it.
What up, sports fans? It's your boy, the Sports Reporter Without Pay. Here we are again in the month of March, Women's History Month, and another episode of Breaking Barriers, Women in Sports. My guest this episode is a sports PR specialist. Let's welcome Miss JQ to the mic. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate you. Look like you camera ready, like you was born. You like I'm ready. I'm ready.
I guess you could say that.
Okay, so we were just talking off camera, right? And you got ready to explain to me kind of the different avenues or the different kind of ways that people in your field can operate. And I said, no, save it for the camera. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is you do.
Yeah, so I like to go by JQ. That is my marketing name that has stuck with me over the last couple of years since I founded JQ Sports PR, which is a sports marketing and branding company. And what I specialize in is helping athletes and sport influencers and athletic brands to build and manage their branding. So as we were talking earlier off camera, if you consider yourself as a PR specialist, some of those things that, classify or, identify you as a PR doesn't mean you have to do what all PRs manage or specialize in. So, for example, you have some PR consultants that specialize in crisis management. I personally, over at JQ Sports PR, do not manage that or specialize that at this moment. So I think it's just different avenues and what you find yourself really good at and what you have a passion for. That's what really separates you from other PR representatives or consultants. And that's one of the reasons why I chose that avenue because it's so broad. PR is so broad, where some PR reps, they just might, focus on media, media management and media relations. You might have a PR consultant that just helps athletes with their branding and their marketing. So it's different avenues you can go down as a PR consultant. But me personally, I like to help build, manage personal brands and athletic brands as well.
And I am 1000% sure that you meant everything you just said. Because when you do that, you mean it. Like
I
that
look,
means you
I talk a lot with my hands.
good, good.
It
That means you're expressive. Do it.
Yes,
I,
very very
I'm
expressive.
I'm I'm here for it. Where are you? So where are you based out of?
I am in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been here since 2016.
Okay, were you at the symposium last year?
No, I was not. I was actually at another event. It was here in Atlanta. Gosh, I can't remember the name of it. That's sad. But I was actually one of the panelists for the event, and I missed that one because I had to work. I do have a 9 to 5, so I couldn't make it to that. Hopefully, I did submit a proposal to be a panelist for this year here in Atlanta. So I'm just waiting to see if I made the cut. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, because I'm pulling up for shows. So fingers crossed. That'll be
Yes,
dope to like see you in your element, talking about what it is you do. So
yes.
talk to me about your journey. Like, was this always the dream, or was it something else? Was it always
Hell
gonna be?
no. I'm gonna be 1,000 with you. I had no clue what I was going to pursue after I graduated. So I'm not sure if you know, but I'm a former college basketball athlete. So straight out of high school, I played at Division 1 level. Then I went to JUCO, and then I finished my last 2 years at a Division 2 school. So my last 2 years, the love of the game started tanking, right? So I decided to go off to grad school and went to Liberty, did 2 years there. And that's when I really kind of got into my element because I was doing a lot with sports. I interned for the Liberty football team as a marketing assistant. I also coached for a girls JV basketball team out of Lynchburg. And then I also was part of the media production team for a semi-men's basketball program. So I knew that I wanted to get into, media and interviewing athletes, but I had no clue what that looked like. So after I graduated from Liberty, I bought this camera. I started interviewing and traveling to like the elite youth events, the McDonald's All American, the NBA Top 100 camp. And I would literally just interview top athletes at these events and then did that for a while. And when you get in the groove and you start seeing the same kids, I don't want to call it boring, but it was getting a little,
Monotonous.
repetitive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, well, maybe I need to take another turn and find out what else can I do besides just interviewing athletes. Because as you already know, as a lot of people know, a lot of things happen behind the scenes, right? So I said, well, let's make this transition. I'll still do interviews here and there, but that wasn't my priority. So that's when I switched over to being behind the camera and helping athletes with their branding, social media, getting to the next level, how to communicate with college coaches, working with parents, and I mean, it's a lot. So that's how I really got into it. But to answer your question, I had no clue that I would end up where I am today, and I have a long ways to go. But yeah,
So do you miss the camera part of it, like the other side of it? Do you miss the interviews and the?
again, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, right? So when I was interviewing athletes, it wasn't making me any money, and I had to find different ways because, to be honest, when I'm interviewing high school athletes, I mean, parents aren't trying to pay for me to interview their child, right? So that was another reason why I transitioned from being in front of the camera to behind the camera as a PR specialist because now I have clients. But I am finding myself going back down that road of being in front of the camera. I have a project that I'm releasing in April. I can't tell y'all what it is just yet, but just know it has something to do with interviews. So
You gonna tell me off camera though, right?
I'll tell you off camera.
Okay.
Look, you get that. Everybody else gotta wait until I post it on social media. But I'm
Okay.
really, I'm really excited to be back in front of the camera, and I think it's going to create more opportunities for me and bringing awareness to my brand and what I'm trying to do with young athletes, as well as college and pro athletes too. But my heart is really set on the young athletes.
Okay. So this is different, right? Because obviously the idea behind this project is breaking barriers, women in sports, right? And as
Hmm.
far as like the media side of it, right? Sound live reporting, play by play calling, that's where we see women really fight those battles, right? So
Hmm.
from the other aspect, like for what it is you do, is it more common? Are there more women in your field or thriving in your field and not fighting those
Um,
same kind of battles?
I I would say they are. I just feel like, and that was one of the things that I had to really dig deep in and think about how am I going to separate myself from everybody else. You have a lot of female sport PR reps or specialists, however you want to identify them. But especially on on the young scene, on the youth scene, there's not many females focusing primarily on the young athletes. You have a lot of female PR reps that work with college and professional athletes. Um, but I think, as we know, it's a male dominant industry. So no matter what position you put yourself, I think we all as a whole kind of fight the same battles, trying to earn our credibility, going into a room full of men that have been in this industry for a long time. And you might have a female that's been in the industry as long as they have it, just because we're a female, we're not going to be looked at as credible or knowledgeable, no matter what sport it is, no matter what task it is. So I think we all fight the same battles, but I am happy to see that we are definitely breaking barriers in every avenue of sports, honestly.
But so speak a little bit more to that, right?
Hmm.
As we say, let's kind of get down to nitty gritty. What is that like? Because I don't know what that feels. Well, I do,
Hmm.
but not in the same vein, right? What does that feel
Hmm.
like when you walk into a room? You know what you're doing. You know you're good at what you do, but you know you gotta work twice as hard to earn respect that you should already have because you've been doing this. Like what talk about what that feels like, and then how do you maintain and fight through those barriers, fight through those different types of circumstances where you already know, like, this is because I'm a woman.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I think it depends on the individual. And what I mean about that is, like I mentioned before, as a female, we fight the same battles. But I think it also starts with who we are or who you are as a person. Because I know me, being a former college athlete, I don't get intimidated, right? And nothing against the females that are in the space that are non-athletes. But I think with someone like me that walks into the room, yeah, of course, it's a little like, oh, okay, now I gotta be on my P's and Q's. I gotta work 10 times hard. Like I'm aware of that, but it doesn't intimidate me and it does frustrate me a little bit because I know that this guy that's sitting next to me, he's never played a sport a day in his life, but he just got to where he is because he knows somebody, right? So it does make me a little frustrated. But at the end of the day, I know as long as I keep working hard and putting myself in positions and making sure that I'm doing the right things and treating people the right way, I'm only going to win at the end. So I do feel that walking into the room with a full of people that have that status can be a little off-putting or intimidating, but you just got to know who you are. You have to be able to maintain that and show that because people can feel your energy. They can feel your vibe. If you come in there second guessing, you're hesitant, you're trying to find time when to interject. No, you can't do that because they're gonna look at you as the weakest link, right? So you have to walk into those rooms confident, talking to yourself like I am that. Okay. Okay. And I think that's the attitude that I'm seeing a lot of females in the industry are having. And like I said, we've come a very long way. And it's also because of the men that are giving us those opportunities, right? Because sometimes you have to go through the back door. You might have to get in good with somebody just to get into that room. So, we didn't do this alone. We've had some help along the way. So I think the men that are in the space as well, that's helping us break those barriers.
That's what's up. So I get and on the media side of it, I typically ask about some of your inspirations or people who've motivated you along the way. But your space is a little different. But I would
Hmm.
assume the same question could apply. Like since you tapped into this specific industry on a personal level, who would you say has been like that person that's kind of been that guiding hand for you, or kind of held your hand along the way, or just even if they're not in that space, somebody's just kind of motivated you to keep going on those days where it's like, is this really for me?
Yeah. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I got into this space doing interviews. So I didn't know a lot of females on the PR side. And quite honestly, I wasn't really looking into that area of sports, female PR specialist. But as far as like a sideline reporter, just a journalist, I really admire Oprah Winfrey. The talent and the ability that she has to get people to open up to her, having that genuine spirit, and just really be engaged, with her guests. That really took me. And that was the vibe and that was the approach that I wanted to take when I was interviewing athletes, no matter if they were high school, college, or at the professional level. I really admired the way that she, showcased her ability and being able to interview, these these celebrities. Like it was unbelievable. But I would say Oprah Winfrey most definitely. Until this day, like I said, with this new project that I'm about to have come out in April, she's someone that I'm still looking up to and practicing and studying her and things like that. The sideline reporting, I I'm not good at thinking on my feet, right? And I'm that I even though I don't play anymore, I kind of get lost in the game, so I might
Yes.
look, I will be honest, I've tried it before and I'm like, this is not for me. I'm standing up yelling like, go, dig up. And I'm forgetting I'm the reporter that can't,
Right.
can't pick
You're
a team, right?
you're not a
So
fan.
I'm
Yeah.
not a fan. So, but that just comes with the love of the game. So it's kind of hard for me to separate the two. But there are a lot of females that are sideline reporters and, studio commentators that I really admire. Candace Parker, her being able to, make that transition from being she's still playing in the league, but her being able to balance the two, I think that's just phenomenal. And like I said, so many other women that I can name, but Oprah is she's the truth. I mean, I just love Oprah.
It's crazy. I don't and I try to make it be known, right?
Yeah.
Every one of these women that I'm interviewing, yourself included, the way you're talking about Oprah, right? Because we're still in a phase where, yeah, we're making progress, but we got so far to go. Like you
Hmm.
realize you're breaking barriers, right?
Hmm.
Like, is there a sense of pride to come with that to know that you're making waves for the next generation?
Yes, most definitely. Even though I work with a lot of young men, I mentor a lot of young women. My baby sister, she played at Murray State. She now has her own sports training company here in Atlanta, Queens of the Court, and I've spoken at multiple of her events. And being able to mentor these young girls and show them like, hey, you may not get the opportunity to play at the next level on a professional level. There are different avenues that you can choose outside of being an athlete. And I think the more they see that, the happier that they are, and don't lose themselves after college because they didn't get to play in the WNBA. Because you have a lot of kids that, as starting at a young age, that's what their mindset is to play at the NBA or the WNBA. But with all of these great things happening with former athletes, these younger kids, they need to see that. So it's definitely a great feeling to know that, hey, I'm a former college athlete, but I took my professional, expertise in a different direction.
Okay. So I don't want to say long term. Yeah, long term. So what's the goal, right? You're doing PR now, at the level you're doing it. But what's the big goal? Like what's
The
the end
big
game for
goal,
you?
the big goal, the end game. I'm all about the end game. What's your end game, right? My end game is to form a successful PR agency, full of women. I know again, I'm only my when you look at my portfolio and the things that I've done, I gravitate more towards the young men. And that was, another tactic that I used on how I was going to separate myself from other females. Because if you look at the space of women in sports, they cater more towards the WNBA, female professionals. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not to say that down the road, I won't be working with professional female athletes, but I think as of right now, I've always been an advocate of being unique, being different from everybody else. So I definitely want to form a successful PR agency full of women, and we branch out into different sports, swimming, football, rugby, just all of the sports. But right now I'm still trying to get there. I'm a one person brand. No, you know what, I have an intern, her name is Megan, she's doing a phenomenal job. And being able to bring people on, it's a good feeling. And I think that's one of the reasons. I know I'm getting off topic here, but I think that's one of the reasons why I really have a strong passion. I think this is my calling, is working with athletes, because I love to see them reach their greatest potential off the field or off the court. Being able to see people grow and being a part of that is a great feeling. I can't describe it, but that's just the feeling that I get, is being able to see somebody grow year after year after year and being able to mentor them, you know. So that's my end goal. I know what's gonna happen. It's gonna take some time, it's gonna
Hey,
take some more grinding, but I'm okay with that. I'm all about trusting the process. A lot of people these days aren't okay with that, but I'm
oh,
I'm fine.
we live in a microwave generation. Everybody
Yeah,
wants instant gratification, right?
yeah.
You just spoke to a lot of women in whatever arena, but especially in your kind of field, they kind of gravitate to the women professional athletes. How much of that do you think is kind of predicated on trying to get in where you fit in? Like they feel like they have a better chance with women letting their foot in the door than they do the male athletes. And then double question or the double side of that is how important do you think it is to see things like with Jalen Hurts with an all female team? Like that was a big story. Like Jalen Hurts' whole team, his agent, PR, the whole nine, all women, right? How big a deal is that? And then don't forget the part about the women, trying to get in where they fit in kind of deal. Do you think that plays a role with women kind of gravitating towards women athletes?
I don't. I think it solely is because they know we need it. You know, I think a lot of female or women professional, they know that women's sports need the exposure, right? And I feel like I'm contradicting my point because I'm all about helping all athletes, right? But I think the reason why a lot of young women or women just in general are more so on the women's side of sports is because they know they need it. And I think, you know, there's some guys behind the scenes that are working with female athletes as well as not as many on the men's side, but I don't know about that phrase get in where you fit in. You know, I just honestly think they gravitate to women's sports because they know they need it. And we honestly do. And I think the more that we have women helping out these young athletes, these young female athletes, I think the more exposure, the more awareness that will develop from it. And then to answer your other question, Jalen Hurts having an all female team, like that's, I mean, what else can I say? It's definitely a milestone in sports in general, not just, you know, women's sports, but just knowing that a you know, a team of women. Not saying that I didn't know this before, right? But seeing it and seeing Jalen Hurts go, you know, go as far as he's, you know, come, but having a female team to help him, you know, progress and how to you know, represent himself in the public eye. It's just, I mean, it's a great thing to see. And I hope from that happening, more male athletes create a team of women around them. And I don't understand why men don't think that having a, because I've heard it before. Of course, I'm not gonna say any names, but I've seen people on social media saying, "Oh, it's no big deal that he had an all women staff or a
It's a
whole
very
women
big deal.
team."
It's a very
Like
big deal.
I, yeah, I'm gonna be positive on this segment. So
Yeah, so you really just kind of opened my eyes to something. I didn't even think of it from that standpoint where it's like maybe women that are agents or PR gravitate more towards the women because they feel like the women would give them a shot. I didn't look at it from the standpoint of no, they're giving women athletes a shot. They're giving them the exposure they need. They're giving them the coverage they need because again, they fighting the same battles, right?
yeah, because to be honest, you don't see a lot of, I'm seeing it more, but you don't see a lot of men advocating for the women's sports, right? And what do you hear a lot of us women say or we preach or emphasize? Women empowerment, right? So being able to uplift these women, you know, women athletes and support them and whatever they need support with, I think it's the driving force of why a lot of women are gravitating to the women's side. And there's nothing wrong with that. And like I said, I'm a former college athlete. I wish I would have had that opportunity to have more women on our side to give us that exposure, to offer that mentorship because I didn't see that a lot. I really didn't. And that's why I think it was hard for me to figure out what I was going to do, you know, after sports. And I'm really big on what's your plan B. And again, with these young kids seeing women like the Jalen Hurts women's team, like the PR specialist, the marketing, the agent, they now can see, you know what, I can be just like Nicole. I can be just like X, Y, and Z. I don't have to, or I'm not a failure because I didn't play in the WNBA, or I'm a failure because I didn't get to play overseas. These young women have different passions and different opportunities that they can definitely take advantage of, but they're going to have to see more of us putting ourselves out there. And that's why I really, really admire how much we have come as women in sports. I really have.
Representation definitely matters, right?
Yes, it does.
Looking in whatever field and seeing somebody who looks like you doing something you want to do, well, that means the world. So, I typically ask if you were in a sports cast and doing podcasting, where can the people find your content? But you're more behind the camera now, but you do have a big project coming up. So before we get out of here, let the people know where they can follow you, let them know where they can find you. And so everybody can be locked in for this big project that's coming up in April, the one that I'm gonna get to hear about off camera. Talk to the people.
Yes. You guys can follow me on all social media platforms, JQ Sports PR. That's JQ Sports PR, Instagram, Twitter. You can also visit my website at jqsportspr.com. And I cannot wait to share this next project that I am so happy and excited about. And I think you guys are going to love it too. And being able to see my face in front of the camera.
Well, Miss JQ, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to be looking forward to the project. To the rest of the viewers, this has been another episode of Women in Sports, Breaking Barriers with your boy, the sports reporter without pay. Till the next time.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Girl, you've got it. Act like you know it. Girl, you've got it. And you might as well show it.